Welcome to Everything About the Scores with Danny Jollis. My name is Danny Jollis. Today is Tuesday, June 21st, 2022. Recording this quite in the past of when this comes out. We are days behind. So every single sports thing we talk about today will probably sound like stupid by the time this comes out. But that's where we're at. That's what we're doing. If you've never watched the show before, it's all the stories around sports. If you watch a ton of sports, these are different stories than what you normally hear. If you've never watched sports before, you'll be able to keep up. It's fun. It's a good time. Subscribe, rate, comment, genuinely all those things. I feel like I throw them off because I'm embarrassed at, but it really does make a difference. The YouTube, singing along. Can't stress enough how happy I am about it. We're singing. Singing over there with subscribers.
I like that you say rate, but you don't encourage, like, give us the best rating. You're like, give us what you think is.
Oh, yeah,
right.
Be honest. Be honest with me.
If you're thinking it's only a 3 out of 5.
If you can watch this show and not give it 5 out of 5.
Oh, he's calling his shot.
I'm just kidding. Please don't. Please. I'm just kidding. Please, for the love of God, be nice. You know, let's not be mean. There's no every time I see like anybody do like a 1-star, I'm like, hey, see, just a blatant attack on for no reason. Why?
When it comes to any like 5-star system,
yeah.
If we're talking Yelp, if we're talking Uber, if we're talking podcast rating, it's a 1 or a 5.
It's a 1. It's a 1, and they hurt me.
Yes,
and I'm physically an altered person as a result of what happened here. Or it's a 5.
But you understand what I'm saying, though. Yeah. Where I'm like, what is the situation in an Uber where you're giving a 2-star? You're like, well, it was bad.
I know.
All right. Yes, the guy said slurs, but
listen. Did he stay on the? He stayed on the road
when he turned. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'll give him 2 stars for that.
Like, yeah, I agree. It's one or the other.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good or bad?
It's either good or bad. And by the way, I've never given a 1-star. I've threatened a couple times.
I haven't.
I've done a couple threats.
I know I have done a 1-star one time because the guy was just awful.
Yes, I've done a couple. Like, I'll do a thing on the phone where I'll be like, "All right, how do you think this plays if I write a review?"
Right.
Like,
ooh,
how do you like? Wow. You tell me how to write this.
See, I could.
That's very much like the Bane, the hand on the shoulder. Like, do you feel in control?
Yeah. That's the only way I can do it. Just like you tell me how I tell this story of what you are doing to me, and you
as though it's positive,
as if it's positive. You tell me.
That's a good angle, actually.
And I never actually write it. I never actually hurt the business because I never want to hurt the actual business. So it's always like I just want to be clear. I could just walk out of here and fuck
just word for word repeat what has happened.
I would never make it up.
Right.
Yes.
But that is the same. It's a better tactic than a full blown Karen move. Mm-hmm. Than let me speak to the manager. But it is at its heart the same. But also I'm on your side.
We all have a little Karen in us, and we keep her wrangled in. But every now and then. But I also think it's the nicest way to Karen when I go, hey.
I mean, we all have a breaking point where I'm like, I've been on hold and I've explained the situation to 11 different people and you keep transferring me kind of thing where I'm just like, somebody's gonna, like, I'm a time bomb and I've been nice to the first 11 people.
Right.
And I've explained it. And then the number 12, I'm like, what is the system here? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Has anybody talked to you? But I'll do that. Has anybody alerted you on what this call is?
So it seems as though multiple people have told me they were taking notes on and made a ticket. Is that a fake thing that they say? Or is there a ticket in the system pertaining to my specific needs?
Yep.
And the answer is always no.
Let's, before we get too into this, join us, co-host, producer, Noah Kopfer.
Hello, good sir.
And also joining us, sometimes we have a guest, sometimes we don't. We have yet to not have a guest. But joining us, he is...
Oh, I don't even get to be called like producer and co-host too?
Only because you're not. But, so I just feel like that's the only reason why I wouldn't.
Well, when I heard Noah get it, I was like, oh, that sounds good. I want that. But instead, I just have Guy next to the homies.
Homies. I don't know if they show up on camera, but I have a solid collection of homies.
You have a pretty great collection of homies.
And let me tell you, I've carried those things around for a decade of my life going, at some point, I'm going to move to a place where I have
a homie shelf.
And let me tell you, every single person comes over, big pop for the homies.
Honestly.
Huge pop. You might know our guest from his time on SNL. You might know him from his album, guitar comic. You might know him as a Cincinnati sports fan. One of very
Dozens.
few that I know.
Worldwide.
Just an amazing comic. Ladies and gentlemen, Luke Null.
Guys, you are, guys. Yeah, I went and got a coffee on the way here to do this, and it was in this jersey as I ordered it at a coffee shop in Los Angeles. And I tell you what, felt like I had committed a crime wearing an NFL jersey in June in LA. People were like, "This guy's mentally ill.
Yeah.
This guy needs help."
Yeah, particularly a Bengals one where it's like, although you guys are not as I
Here's
put
the thing.
you as the old Bengals, but
then there's a new fun wrinkle of like, I was like, get over it, bud. Our team beat you. But that's not how they are around here. They're like, oh, we have a team?
Oh, I know.
Like,
I mean,
you have two teams. Like, oh, we don't care at all.
you can wear a jersey on a Sunday in October, and everybody's like, huh?
It really is.
Yeah.
It's especially like walking around Los Feliz. You're like, you just are a pariah.
It's so interesting the way, like, because like Los Feliz, there's what's the name of the bar there? The sports bar, the big one.
Well, there's Ye Rustic, but there's also what are you talking about? Oh, you're talking about like the Draft House.
Yeah, that Draft House one.
Yeah.
That like it's just interesting because you'll be walking down the street and you're in a jersey and everybody's just like, huh, what? And then you turn into
Then
this
you
place
get in.
and everybody's wearing jerseys and you're like,
Right.
oh yeah, that's right. I'm not alone in
No.
doing this. This is a thing that we all do.
I bet that how I feel is probably how like European soccer fans.
A
felt.
17th a public house.
Public house.
Public house.
Thank
that's
you.
what it is. Yeah, public house. Yeah,
That's,
that's
what
right.
Noah, that's what Noah does. That's why he's producer.
Flying the
co-host.
spaceship.
That's why you weren't.
Well, I mean, I could have gotten on my phone and done it.
He's a researcher. He does the research.
No, I should have known that. I've been there too many times to not know the name of it. But it is like down right now. Like it went dark, so I don't know if it's open anymore.
I don't think they have the best ownership. Did you play sports growing up?
Oh gosh, yeah. I regret.
And how was that experience?
Yeah. Well, believe it or not, it became very evident very fast that it was not going to be my lane.
Which sport was the one that you were trying to make work?
So my dad I would not describe him as like a football dad. He was very supportive of like anything that I wanted to do. If I really was like into it, he would be into it too, or he would, bite the bullet, drive me to practice, blah, blah, blah. And so like, but the one thing he like kind of made me do when I was a kid was like baseball. And I was always a pretty good hitter, like I played like in elementary school probably. And I was always a really good hitter, but I could not for the life of me catch with my offhand, my left hand. I was like, my instinct was always to bare hand a fly ball. Because I'm like, my dominant hand, I can't fucking catch with my left hand. I'm
Right.
catching with my right hand. And so that led to many embarrassments for my dad. There was also a time where I was like a little kid. I was probably like 7 years old or 8 years old, where I was on first base. Kid hits a grounder, and I'm like right to the second baseman who's like, I'm like, I'm not going to second. You're gonna immediately tag me out. So I went from first to third.
Smart.
And my dad was just like ashamed, just like fuck. No.
But which is sadder? Because it's like on one hand there's that where it's like I know I'm out, I'm giving up, and then there's like, and the dad's just like he ain't trying. Me, I tried so maximum effort, literally. Known as Diving Danny Jollis was my nickname because I would just constantly be falling.
Sure.
I was falling, crashing basketball. That was my thing. And to still not be good was tough. Was tough for everybody to watch because it's like I wanted it so bad. And I just was not growing and wasn't great.
Yeah, it was hard out there. But it became even more fun when I stopped doing all sports. Like, because I did like flag football and also did like whatchamacallit, try to do real deal football. Lit up, just got lit up.
Yeah.
And just repeatedly the universe letting me know this is not what you need to be doing.
How bad do you want to be hurt for the rest of your life before you just walk away from this?
And like the worst injuries I remember from football were like from my own team, like during practice. I'd be like, why are you guys hitting me way harder than you get hit? Like I had like one unbroken bruise from my butt cheek up to my shoulder blade, and I was like, I'm gonna start doing theater all the time now. And so I remember that telling my dad, like, yeah, I'm gonna quit football and all this stuff, and I'm gonna do the plays and the musicals and stuff. And he, to his credit, he was like, all right, cool. If you want to do that, cool. And he was, yeah,
Same with my dad.
he was into it.
Moved on. Hey, let's do that. Let's go hard for it.
He's like, yeah, you probably be
And I do think there's
better
something
at
to
that.
bringing the sports mentality to comedy and theater. I always think helps. Like the way I can compartmentalize like certain failures out here versus like
I hear you.
people who are like true artists who are just like they're denying like who I am, and I'm like, nah. Sometimes you lose, dude. You gotta lose.
Yeah,
Sometimes you gotta win. You lose. That's what happens.
Hall of Fame
Yeah.
hitters in baseball bat 300.
Yeah. You're gonna bomb sometimes. That's just
You're
what
bomb
happens.
70% of the
You're
time.
gonna
No.
bomb on stage.
I thought you were more getting at that you want it to be really tribal and toxic, and you
Yeah.
want to wrap
Well, I
up your
love that
entire
also.
day in like one moment, and then you're aggrieved by something that has nothing to do with you,
Well,
and then
that
you hold
really-
on to it for years against people you've never met, and then when you learn that that person is from another city, you go, fuck you. Like when I hear someone's from Pittsburgh, any of the listeners, I'm going down the barrel. I'm not gonna there is a thing in my lizard brain that if you tell me you're from Pittsburgh, you could be the sweetest person in the world. There's a little thing where I'm just like, fuck you. Fuck you.
It's hard for me with Cowboys. It's hard for me. One of my dearest friends is a Cowboys fan, and we watch football together most Sundays, and we've really built a very good rapport around it. But when it's Cowboys versus commies, I take a little. I say, hey, let's watch this one separate. Come back together in the afternoon.
Man, commies. I know your opinion of just leave it football team. It already was the best.
Let's get into it later.
Okay.
Because we'll get into Snyder because it just never stops. The man is a machine. Before we do that, and this answer is going to be obviously answered, but do you watch sports?
I don't. I do. I unfortunately was cursed. The dirt patch that I was born on, that my mom grunted me out. The professional teams that were adjacent to that dirt patch were the Cincinnati sports teams, which if you could be grunted out into the world in any location, not a great one for sports in my life.
For those of you that don't watch sports, Cincinnati is a city that has
A long
three
suffering
sports teams, two sports teams.
So we have, for the longest time, we had the Cincinnati Bengals and the Cincinnati Reds.
Right.
But then we also just got an MLS team, Major League Soccer team.
Oh,
And,
let's go. How are they doing?
Well, it's funny you should ask.
Oh.
They've been in, this is their 4th year in existence. And they've received what's called the Wooden Spoon, their 3 seasons, which is the trophy awarded to the last place worst dog shit team in the league. So they were the absolute worst 3 years running. But this year, nah, dog. Took a step up. There's no way we're going to be in last place this year.
So that's good. That's something. Yeah, you guys. I mean, it is a brutal.
And I say we're. I'm one of those people.
Yeah, it's been a tough road for you, but let's talk about the good news.
The good news
Bengals
is,
making it to the Super Bowl. What a run!
I'll tell you what. I'm 31 years of age. Okay, none of my teams in my lifetime.
You look 30.
Thank you so much. None of my teams in my lifetime have done anything of note. There's been no moment during my fandom where I had a moment where I got to like look around and be like, man, all these years of like investing my attention and money and it really paid off. It got to the point where I believe like Cincinnati Reds fans this year are very united in that they think that the owner of the team needs to sell the team because you're not even trying to compete. Like you're
Been there, sister.
Sell the team, Bob. That's it. They put billboards up in Cincinnati. # sell the team, Bob.
# fire Snyder.
Sell the team, Bob. Give it to somebody who cares. But lot of not fun times to the point where I got a little apathetic in that I'm like going in, watching a game, cutting out hours of my day to watch something that I am certain is going to end negative.
I've watched a game with you, and it is you enter games being like, what are we going to do? Start off with, I mean, you just come in so negative.
I have to. And I
come in, I'm very much I go positive. The commies are really pushing me to the brink. They really are making. I mean, going into this season, it's like you try to find the joy, and you try to find the hope. And there are some seasons where you're like, I'll tell you,
we haven't even started yet.
I'm just looking at it. I can't help but notice we don't have any good players. And I just feel like that's going to be important.
There is. I would counter, because I have watched games with you. I think we watched two games? We watched one Steelers Bengals, which you shouldn't. That
was tough to watch.
That I can't.
Tough to see happen.
I shouldn't have invited people to see me like that. Which is, it's just been so painful for so long. They've just beat my boys so much, but not anymore. But then we watched another one. I would say that I'm not from the outset a negative person, but I am somebody who, if in the moment a cartoon gaffe like something like bad happens, I will react in the moment like, what the hell are you doing?
Well, yeah. I get very loud.
My wife is like, you have to be positive. I'm like, even when they do bad negative things, I'm not gonna
listen, I'll yell all day. I go in with a positive attitude. My dad is the funniest. My dad will change the channel.
My dad is so
My
toxic.
dad will change the channels when bad things happen, and we'll just be like, I'm done watching. And we were together for the Dodgers Nationals game 7 or 5, whichever way. It was a winning that, and the whole game he kept picking the remote, and I was like, Dad, get.
We're watching this
Dad,
one.
Hey, pull the remote away. We're on a playoff run here. And then there was people forget this moment. It was like bottom of the 9th, I think, or it was like bottom. I mean, it was something where it was going to be a walk off. Dodger made loud crack, and it went deep, and Victor Robles up against the wall, caught it, but it was against the wall, and I just look over at my dad. The remote is like this.
He's ready.
And I was like, Dad, I have to put it down. He was like, I don't even. He's like, I wasn't even thinking about it. I just started going up.
My dad is also just like pure toxicity when it comes to sports. Like pure toxicity. My mom is unrelentingly positive about the Bengals, which like you shouldn't be. They like I said, I'm 31.
But your mom watches too.
My mom watches.
So is my mom. My mom has really gotten into it. It's very inspiring. It's really hopeful for Jess. Gives me hope that Jess could really come along someday.
Well, I think you get to a point where when you live in a place where there's nothing else to do. I'm not saying nothing else, Cincinnati, I love you. But when you're on a Sunday, that's the main event in the city. There's nothing going on more than the Bengals. Come on, get
Jess is getting into, because on Sundays, even out here, what do? I wake up at 10 a.m. We get a group together. We watch some football. We get some food. We have a nice time.
That's good. You're drunk and sad by 1?
Drunk. We try not to drink until the afternoon games. That's become a little bit of a rule in my group.
See, I love being drunk by 1.
I know. I love that about you.
But
you're a very good influence on me.
What I was going to say about my dad is my dad loves baseball. Grew up playing baseball. Loved the Reds. But then during the strike of 94, he was like, I will never give professional baseball another dollar of my, like the greed level.
Sure, we've all done that.
But he stuck to it.
Wow.
He has never been to a baseball game since 1994. But I'm like, the baseball is on. I know he's watching at home because he's got nothing else.
Sure.
My mom is watching too. But like,
I respect that though.
But the Bengals hadn't won a playoff game in my entire lifetime, right? And so just loss after heartbreaking loss to the point where you're just expecting the negative.
I know.
This year, though, the Bengals, against all odds, make a run and go to the Super Bowl.
And it was an amazing run, and we're going to talk about it in 2 seconds. But first, we have to start the show.
Oh, okay.
Let's go. Let's hit the music.
You're a number 1 fan, so you know the stats. Heard all the pundits talking, so you know enough of that. Maybe it's time to hear some crazy folks chat about all the other stuff that's behind the net. But maybe you don't care about playing ball, and you want to hear the gossip whether big or small. Maybe it's time to hear some funny folks talk about what goes on when the batter don't walk. Maybe you'd like to hear a little more. Maybe you don't even care about sports. Either way, go on and buckle up your shorts. Cause this is everything but the scores with Danny Jollis. Yeah, doggity.
And we're back from the theme song. Cut you off there, Luke, and I do apologize for it, but sometimes in life you have to move forward.
You know what? I take L's.
We got a bunch of stories I was thinking about doing, but I figured you could handle this story because you would know about it. And on top of that, it's a story I've ducked since the start of this. This has been an ongoing story. Not once since this show has come back have I talked about Deshaun Watson.
Oh boy.
And I did it.
I like how you're like, save it for Luke.
Save it for Luke. Well, because it's gotten so goofy now. It's gone goofy. Now it's gone to a goofy level of stupid where it's like, all right, I think we can talk about it and just be like, this is insane.
Danny, it's not that serious because it's not like he's smoked any weed. He's just assaulted up to
66. We're up to 66. And those of you who don't know sports, let's get into it. Those who know sports, Deshaun Watson, football player, formerly for the Houston Texans.
Yep.
Currently for the Cleveland Browns.
Are the bitter rivals of my Cincinnati Bengals.
And I feel like the good rivals for you guys. That's the rival that you have more fun with. That's like us and the Eagles, where it's like, hey, they're usually bad enough where it's kind of fun for us to play them.
Historically, we've kind of beat up on them. We've beat up on them pretty historically.
Which is nice. You need one of those.
You do?
You need a team that you can actually beat. We don't really have one of those, but we have kind of the Eagles where at least we're competitive. So,
this is just a podcast for you to deal with begrudgingly having to...
I'll tell you, the Snyder news this morning broke me, and I'm like still reeling.
What was it this morning?
Sidebar. For those of you who watch the show, as you know, we have been covering Dan Snyder's
Descent.
But not Descent. He won't get, nothing happens to him. It's just
well, he's a billionaire, so he'll just
continue.
No
so it's just, how many things can he do? Last time we were on here, we told you guys that finally, not just the NFL is mad at him, Congress is involved. We got Congress involved in the situation. Congress
refused to,
and he's refusing to come into Congress. He doesn't feel it to be fair. Right. Doesn't feel it to be fair. And what can we? Hey, I take him at his word on that. He must know something we don't.
At least he doesn't have a track record of being horrible.
Well, what evidence do we have? What evidence do we have that this could potentially be a lie that he's doing in order to cover up the, I don't know, 1,000 things he's done bad?
It's important, though, that he's also incompetent at running the team.
It's also
on
important.
top of being like...
As a fan, it really helps that we're also bad as well.
Yeah,
so it's like, you know what I mean? It's like, I couldn't even be like... And that's where Deshaun Watson is interesting.
But that is where sports in general is kind of messed up, where there is like when messed up stuff happens and your team is bad, the spotlight is really on you. But then suddenly, if you're good, people are sure willing to forgive a lot of Big Ben. They're willing to forgive a lot of situations where it's like, oh my gosh, they're good.
Oh yeah. Oh, there's. I mean, I remember.
It's so gross.
Oh, it's a real issue. And yet, that brings us to Deshaun Watson, who is a very good quarterback for the Houston Texans, who then got in a lot of trouble.
Sure.
Because he was sued by 23 women.
Well, that's funny because it's up to 26 official now.
I know, but it was started with 23. So we'll build the story. Let me build the story.
Probably started with one.
So, sure. That's a good point. Start with one, quickly jump to 23. When we all became aware of the problem.
23 and me, yeah.
I would say 23 and Deshaun. It was at 23 women, there were finally the first repercussions. And 23 women came forward and they were like, this guy gets massages. He asked for a happy ending. He
does some wild
aggressive
stuff. He does some wild stuff. Just reading the accounts, you're just like, oh Lord.
Yeah. No, not great. Not a good human.
Not good. And then
so they take him to court.
Yep.
He wins. It basically doesn't. It doesn't go in front of a trial. It doesn't do a trial. They aren't able to get a trial. The grand jury, I believe, is what it's called. The grand jury found not enough evidence.
Right.
Not ideal. But then it's funny how I'm somebody who's like, okay, yes, it's 23 women. Can't help but notice that's a lot. Can't help but notice but hey. If the criminal justice system says he's innocent,
which is to be trusted in this country,
I might not hire him, but hey, okay, I can see how the problem comes. So the Cleveland Browns step in and they go specifically, hey,
Hey.
we're going to pay you $150 million
Oh, that's funny
guaranteed.
that you said 150 because it's 230 million guaranteed, which is a really cool thing. That it's
the top of his head, off the top of his head.
I know the numbers. So they trade 3 years worth of first round picks and other picks to the so just their entire future. They're just like, we don't even want a chance to draft anyone good in the future because we want this guy who's now accused of 23 suits that we are aware of. We want him now, and not only do we want him now, we want him with the biggest contract any football player in the history of professional football has ever received.
On a guaranteed level.
On a guaranteed level.
Yes, which means, because a lot of contracts are built around 7 years. You hear these contracts, 7 years, $400 million. But it's really just this amount,
voidable
this amount. Yeah, you're
amounts,
able to get out. It's bonuses are involved. I mean, it's like you can really fudge numbers.
You can't. Not this one. Not this one.
This one is a
airtight.
Straight up, you're getting this amount of money.
They are locked into
and they
paying
felt,
this guy.
and the Browns felt very good that 23 women, that had to be the end of it. Surely there wouldn't be more. Surely.
And they knew there would be more.
And they said to themselves, hey, where there's smoke, there's probably just smoke.
When there's 23 different bonfires worth of smoke, probably that's the amount of bonfires that you can have. It's like how many spots can be on fire at once. And then the news came out that he had 66 different massage therapists over the course of 1 year.
Yes. 17 months, I believe, was 66 women,
So it
17 months.
basically a new massage therapist every week.
For some reason, there seems to be a high turnover.
Yeah, and for some reason, and then also the Houston Texans, it came out, were helping him get all of these women to sign NDAs as time was going on, which I've read more about it, and when it comes to like medical massages and stuff that they'll have for the team, other teams will have outside physicians sign NDAs so that they can't be like,
right,
Carson Wentz's knee's fucked, Like, there's HIPAA stuff, but this was like, it feels grosser though. This feels bad. Yes,
and I think that there's so much I'm a big okay, hey, sometimes there might be an NDA for anybody who does any kind of medical thing on anybody in football. I would imagine that's potentially a blanket item. It's if you're getting any kind of information from anybody medical, it's it has to stay quiet,
right?
Because athletes really want that.
Right.
Athletes constantly are playing with injuries that they don't tell the team about until they sign their big contract, and then they're like,
"Hey, I did this stuff.
This leg's not real."
This leg not a real leg.
That's I'm very suspicious of injuries in the first week of training camps. I believe those come in from the off season,
of course,
and the players show up and they get through the first couple days, and then they go, "Oh, my knee," and I think it's
just in their head. They're like, "Now,
yes."
Something to me that made me go oh, this guy's needs to be behind bars.
Yeah.
Where he clearly does. He's a predator. But the thing that makes it so messed up to me is when I'm reading this story, I'm like, okay, so this guy is a sex pest. Pretty undeniably.
I think it's the nicest word we can use.
You could say he's a sex pest. He's a serial predator.
I love that Steel Panther album.
I know, right? But I'm like,
no, we're coming in with a good one.
He presses buttons. Sometimes he's got little quips.
And is there any way this leaf blower could be in our house?
We want to have him, and the actual co-host / producer, leaf blower guy. He gets the producing cred. What I was going to say is I'm somebody who's a big fan of normalizing sex work.
100%.
How about if this is your thing, go to a person who does that and will with a smile on their face, do all your weird stuff, and you give them money, and that's what you need.
I feel one of the funniest parts of this entire thing was his lawyer going on the radio show.
Oh, the worst.
Rusty Harden is this guy's name. This is his.
You can't make it up.
Name, that's not his real name. I will
Rusty Harden, the defense
lawyer.
On. Yeah,
but a rusty one.
But it's been oxidized.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's fine. He went on a radio show to defend his client, and one of the cases he made, and I thought this was a bold defense strategy, was going, just as a reminder, happy endings are legal. That's a legal thing. You're allowed to get a happy ending, just as long as you aren't paying for it. You're allowed to get a happy ending.
This is a bit of a Hail Mary defense.
And then the radio show was like, Huh?
wait.
That was such a before the show. He was like, "Are these legal?" And he goes, "You can Google it."
Well,
It's there.
it speaks to a lawyer who's like, what do we have?
What can we?
What is defensible here? Yeah, we can't deny that, because initially, what are you talking about? She just gets massages. We've switched from that to, okay, hey, listen.
Yeah, he's doing that stuff.
He's doing that stuff, but
What are you gonna do about it?
there's nothing illegal about it.
About forcing that
About forcing
on people that don't want that.
because if they said okay with, but also can't say okay with any money, but if they said okay without money, which you know how massage therapists just want to do that, it has become
insane.
such a goofy number
Well,
of people that it's like truly I was like, all right, it's fun to talk about now.
I started to think about the whole like sex work thing where it's like, just go to a sex worker who will do that, and they're like, now they don't massage my traps well enough. But then it's also like, oh no, he gets off on people not wanting it.
I think that's a big part of all these people.
You know what I mean?
A
Like
big
that-
part of these people is like it's like, I mean, I have a friend, I won't say who, although
Is it Deshaun Watson?
It's my friend Deshaun Watson. And guys, now let's say the positives. He's got a great,
Talk about it. Yeah.
he's got a great laugh.
Oh no.
But I have a friend who is very successful, millionaire successful,
Whoa.
easy.
I gotta meet this friend.
Constantly steals. He likes to steal things from stores.
Yeah.
That's just the thing he does, and he just gets a rush out of it.
Yeah.
And there's like, that is, and I'm like, I've been very like, keep it there, buddy. I don't know what's making you do that, but keep it contained to stealing, because that is a weird thing.
There's something
there,
I
buddy.
remember.
But that's
when,
a thrill to them. It's a thrill for people want that thrill. It's very weird to me. I'm getting yelled at is my all my
zero.
all my fear.
Well,
Yeah.
but for them, it's not getting yelled at. It's I might get yelled at, but I might be naughty enough to get away with it.
Just get away with it. And I'm like, ugh.
But
What's messed up is like there's so many people who's like their kink, because you know me, I'm not gonna kink shame. Come on,
Hey,
I'm not gonna kink shame. There's so many people that like there's so many innocuous, harmless types of kinks. I'll throw out someone who's like into feet, where it's like, man, you roll the dice in life, and the thing that you love is feet. You know what? If it's another consenting adult, who am I to say that's a weird thing? It must suck when you roll the dice and your thing that you love is like exposing yourself in public
It's-
to like your whole.
But then you have to
kink is
fight it.
being a dickhead.
but then you got to
That
fight it,
sucks.
because the thing about
Asshole.
I've read so many things about this.
Right.
I'm fascinated by that. That was kind of
Me too.
And by the way, also like feed people. I tried to write a joke about
I
defending.
got lots of feet people. Jokes.
I tried to write a joke about defending feet people, and it just sounded so much like I had a foot thing that I was like, I can't do this joke because I just sound. But then I was like, it's so bad that like I'm trying to write a joke about how it shouldn't be destigmatized, but then I'm self-conscious because it sounds like it's me. So I was like, I can't.
I feel like
I fell apart.
the exact same thing that you just said. Like I've written a bit about, but just from the, I just say I like only like feet. Like I have a whole song that's just like
Yeah.
about how you have to delete all the porn off my computer when I die, because I don't want everyone to know that I only like feet. Like I'm only into feet, right?
So funny.
Which is so stupid, but I'm like, I play that song and I'm like, but people, I've never had people come up and be like, but you're really into feet, you know what I mean? Like,
Which is so interesting
They don't.
because nobody admits it. Nobody talks about feet.
I think,
And then you go
one of the most
online,
harmless
look
ones.
at, and then you also go online and look up most search porn by state. Half the states feet.
Are you somebody who, like, I'm not saying you're like feet turn me on, but I can see someone and be like, those are some jacked up feet,
I can certainly notice they're jacked.
and then I can also be like, those aren't jacked at all.
I don't know if I'll go whoa, but I'll
Oh, I
definitely
mean,
be like,
maybe not a whoa, but I'll be like,
yeah, nice feet, of course, yeah. It's a part
And
of
then
the
I
body.
feel like, am I on my way?
But then I'm like, but that's always. But again, like as somebody who is not particularly. Someone called vanilla. I would say someone called me vanilla. I am always like, it's always one that I agree. Like if you roll the dice and you get feet, it's like
Not that bad.
whatever.
Not that bad.
Also, I've talked to so many women about it who are like, I'm with guys all the time who like feet. Like they're everywhere. So it's like,
I feel like though there's a lot of fetishes that seem like there's a pretty solid 50-50 split of like men and women are both into it. I'm like, you rarely meet a woman who's like, feet are my thing.
I don't know if I've ever heard of it.
I don't think I've ever heard of it. I think it's all men.
Yeah. So that is a problem.
You know what?
Is you're basically coming in being like, so that my thing is inconvenient for you. You're
my
not gonna
thing is being an asshole to you in public or whatever. Like I'm saying, like people who expose themselves or
well, it's like you got to fight it back. Like fight it back. Like you can rewire that shit. That
I don't know if you can though, because there's like
can.
people that are like I've read a bunch of articles like we're going all the way to the extreme, but like people who are attracted to children and they're like, I know that this is wrong. I can't and won't act on this, and they've done all the like deprogramming they can do, but it's just like fuck.
I don't even want to comment on the show, but what I will say is everybody should read the article about the self-help, about the support group.
Yeah.
It is one of the most interesting articles I've ever read in my life, and it really
I've read that too.
Yes,
it's
absolutely
wild.
is. It is hearing somebody go, I know I like this thing, and I'm going to fight the rest of my life to not to make sure I never hurt anyone. Is like you just get very like if you have any amount of empathy in your body, you're like, wow, because in theory, this person is basically stopping a sex predator. He is personally stopping a sex predator, and he's fighting every day to do it. And he is doing
but
it.
That's a tough dice roll.
But that's a tough dice roll.
That's a
tough
one on a D20.
Unrelatable.
I botched it.
Yeah.
This is a botch.
That's a botch.
Missed a step. Missed a step. I slipped.
Oh no. Redo. Give me feet, God, Lord. Give me
I'll take
feet.
feet all day. Yeah, no, that's tough. I can't even. Again, as somebody who's fairly vanilla, I just am always like,
You eat poop.
well, sure, but that's basic.
You eat poo.
But that's not even like a kink. That's more
that's
just like life.
college.
That's like a juice cleanse. kind
That's
of
just
thing.
like a life.
We've
thing.
all done it.
We've all done it. Anyway, so wrap up this story. Deshaun Watson.
I am very excited to see them be forced, because of all the attention this is getting now, the NFL have to be forced to deal with this. Like they wanted so badly to sweep it under the rug, and they can't. We'll see.
And what I hope is there's a nice lesson here, and I think we're seeing this lesson with Ezra Miller. We're seeing this in Hollywood itself of people who it's like, hey, if someone has a shitty reputation of being a bad human, maybe don't put hundreds of $millions on the line on them.
Yeah.
Maybe listen to anyone who's ever worked with them before versus the numbers. Like the numbers are important. We all get the numbers are important. But just
to give him the biggest contract of all time. Here's a true question though. Like, are you a big football guy?
No.
Okay. I was going to throw out Deshaun Watson is a good football player. He's a great quarterback.
Great quarterback.
Where would you but he's not even, in my opinion, in the top 5 right now.
He might
to
be.
Give him
It's
the
hard to say
best
his
contract ever above even the guys doing it right now.
I agree. I will say his last year, he was on my fantasy team, and
He had an
put up
insane-
some numbers that were he carried me to my championship, and Deshaun Watson did do that.
No,
So-
I'm not saying he's not
But yes,
very good, but like
yes,
he's not
the contract
unanimous
did not.
best.
The contract didn't make sense. I felt with his talent level, and then when you chuck in the already, it's like, what are we doing? It's the same way I feel about it.
But I can't wait to see the Browns season implode and him not ever play a snap for them. It would be so good. And they've already torched everything with Baker.
It's the same thing with the Flash. It's like there's a part of me that's like, that's what you get. That's what you get. And maybe we all learn a lesson from this. Can we all learn a lesson?
The answer is no.
And we know for sure we won't. And with that, we'll be right back. Oh, hey there. During this break in the action, I just wanted to throw out there that this is the perfect opportunity to write a comment or subscribe, or if you're listening, you can just give us a rating and whatever you want. Just this is the moment where during this break, since we don't have a Patreon or anything, this is the moment to do something like that. It'd mean a lot. All right, back to the action. And we're back.
We're back.
Let's do a happy story.
No.
I refuse.
All right. This was a fun one. Miles Copeland is the name of a basketball player. Plays for the Toledo Glass City team.
Okay.
Part of the basketball league, which is a league that I for sure knew existed.
Sure. Toledo, just tying it back in, back when I was in college, sex trafficking capital of the United States.
Really?
Yeah.
They don't talk about that.
I
It's
know.
weird that they don't put that on their advertisements.
What's on the billboard?
Oh, it is on. Okay.
Be careful.
I mean, that's terrifying.
Yeah.
What a weird thing.
Yeah, I guess it's just
How did
kind of-
that Toledo get in the middle of it?
I think it's adjacency to a body of water near the Lake Erie, and then also They're kind of just on this like near a tri-state area. Mm-hmm. I don't know why, but it was.
Right, it feels random. I mean,
it felt very random.
I imagine the Toledo Police Department had to really get caught off guard by it. Like, what's happening?
We're number one?
What?
Like, that can't be true.
Guys, is anybody here noticed?
Which one of you guys?
Well, Miles is playing for there. He's also a full-time firefighter because he makes no money doing this.
Cool. Well, yeah. Well, he plays for the basketball league, though.
He plays for the basketball league. But while playing in the basketball league, in a game, during his shift, a ref had a heart attack mid-game, ran off the bench, applied CPR, saved the ref's life mid-game.
Wow.
30 minutes of CPR, got him back.
No bear or anything? Do you remember that
And got a
commercial?
technical for leaving the bench. No.
Ref walk.
Toss from the game.
Review it. Is it a 2?
Yeah, he saved his ref's life.
That's pretty
wow.
wild.
I was like very impressed. It was a playoff game too against the famed Jamestown Jackals.
And the Jackals really had a hot year.
The Jackals were on fire.
The Jackals had a good team. A lot of role players that were stepping up.
But then everybody stopped. Miles Copeland, though, yeah, he's just a full-on basketball player.
Do you remember the commercial with the Bayer aspirin commercial where it's like a guy and his dad playing pickup basketball and his dad's like, yeah, and he like gives him Bayer aspirin and that saves him?
No.
There was a Bayer aspirin commercial back in the day of like taking Bayer when you're having a heart attack. Well, you could do it if you have a headache or something. But if you're playing pickup with Pops and Pops goes down clutching his left arm, pop a couple Bayer in his mouth and you're not going to make him chew it.
Is that real?
No. But it's a real commercial.
No, I know the real
He
commercial.
doesn't make him chew it.
Oh, but that's why. Was there backlash? There must have been backlash to this.
No, I feel like this is the commercial that aired for, not exaggerating, years. Probably like 4 or 5 years.
Wow.
And it's like dusk. It's a guy, a young man,
and people just took it in. People were like, makes sense.
Sounds like Bayer's the one to do it.
Sounds like aspirin.
They say baby aspirin too is good for if you're having a heart attack.
Baby aspirin has a bunch of things. Baby aspirin's good for flights. It's good for a bunch of things. It opens up your.
It's good for babies who are hungover.
That's true. If you get your baby crunked.
If your baby is just like struggling the day after like a huge party.
Come along, baby aspirin. Yeah, no, I remember I was told to take baby aspirin. I always forget to. Never do it, but I'm always told you're supposed to do it before a flight.
When I go to the aspirin store, though, I feel like I'm never seeing baby aspirin in the lineup. I'm seeing...
Oh, it's in there. It's in the baby section. You got to go to the baby section.
See, I'm not going to the baby section. I'm going to the
section.
just the
and
aspirin
that's probably because
section.
we both don't have babies, but that is where it lives.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I do not have a baby that I know of.
Okay. But what if we told you?
No. This is this kind of podcast.
Ashton Kutcher, come on out.
I feel like that would be pretty wild to learn, like, oh, man.
That's right.
Years later.
Got to be a wild feeling. I can't even imagine.
I'm like, why wouldn't you tell me? I'm a good guy.
I agree. I can't imagine anybody I've ever dated who would
keep that.
You
would know.
Oh yeah, I feel very.
You follow on
I feel
Insta,
very
so you'd be
confident.
like,
I feel very confident that I have not. There's no Jollises running around that I'm not aware of.
yeah, you'd be on Instagram and you would see.
Although I did get a YouTube comment the other day from somebody named like Rex Jollish or something like that, being like,
Diving
"Are we
Dave.
related?" And I was like,
yeah.
"Are we? Who are you?" But I didn't reply. So
No,
I was like, I'm not
don't
getting involved.
reply.
But I was like, "There's another Danny Jollis out there. He lives in San Francisco. Danny Jollis, if you're listening to this, and he's definitely not, because I'll tell you why. We used to have a really fun rapport, me and Danny Jollis. We were friends on Facebook. We found each other. Mm-hmm. Both were like, "Hey,
She's kind of fun.
this is like a decade ago. Like, hey, look at us. Name game. Come on." And he was like, "Yeah." And like we had a nice little exchange. And then my career started to get better. And as my career got better, noticed we started pulling back a little bit.
Danny Jollis didn't love that.
Danny Jollis, I don't think loves me anymore. I don't think he loves what I've done to his name.
Right.
And in his defense, I don't blame him.
He doesn't like my crazy ex.
He does not love my crazy ex-girlfriend. I'll tell you that much right now. But I remember at some point, like his friends, I saw his friends post like a video of mine on his like Facebook being like, "Great job, dude." And I was like,
That would be annoying.
and so I commented and I was like, as like it was all us, man. Something like that. Something fun. Try nothing. I was like, oh, he don't like me.
Yeah.
I did the same thing with another Luke Null on Facebook a decade ago, and this was like I follow, we friended each other, and I went, hey,
That's funny. Come on,
Luke Null.
Yeah.
And then we opened up the messaging back and forth, like, what up? How I hope you're doing well, other Luke Null. And he responded on Facebook. The only message he ever sent was, "Oh, could be better. My dad died today."
Gee.
And I was like, "Oh, fuck." So I contacted other Luke Null on a bad
day.
time.
Tough to bounce back from. Tough to go back. Like
That's one you can't even really send.
sorry to hear that. So
message.
but where you
over.
living? Like where?
Was he like that good of a guy?
That is tough.
Oh,
I feel like I was
that's-
added to a group chat a while ago. I'm trying to find where it was like someone had done like the everybody who's named Noah or something is in a group chat.
Yeah.
Just named Noah or Noah?
Just named Noah.
Oh, what are we
There's-
doing? Who cares?
How
Yeah.
many like
Right, I can't believe I brought it up.
if you had to ballpark though in your lifetime, because I feel like there's a lot of Dannys out there, right?
Some would say bazillions.
How many in the wild? How many Noahs would you say if you had to put a number?
I bet there's more Noahs than Danny's. Noahs, you got to remember, you got biblical, so you got a
Biblicals.
lot of
I
religious.
mean-
It's also
Same with Luke.
unisex name too. You would say too, like Noah compared to other names.
Ooh, that's a good point.
Oh, I've never met.
I've met a couple. I've met a
Noah.
couple. I've
I've
met
met a couple.
more like female Noahs than I met dude Noahs.
Really?
That I don't know
I've
about,
never
but I
met
do
a
know about.
single female.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That many
Well, there's
female
the same
Noahs.
Noah Cyrus, Miley Cyrus's sister. That's a famous one.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Although in stand up, it might be because we know 4 Noahs: Finling, Garden Schwartz, me.
You.
there's got to be a fourth.
It's got to be a
No,
4th.
honestly, in my lifetime too, though, for Lukes, less Lukes than you'd think. There's less Lukes than I.
I think Luke went on a real run, obviously, during the Star Wars era, and I imagine
Sure.
it's pulled back since.
You're right. You're probably right about that. But the first question when you meet another Luke is always, "Are you a Luke or are you a Lucas?"
Well, Danny. I mean, you Daniel, you Danny, you Dan. I mean, we span the globe. We span
Now,
the spectrum.
All right, you've met people whose legal name is Danny.
I have met people whose legal name is Danny. My legal name is Daniel, of course. My parents aren't psychopaths.
My father as well.
But
Is a Daniel.
my parents aren't psychopaths. You name a kid Daniel, you let him pick his own way. I went Danny very early, and I stuck with it. Never gone back.
You don't meet a ton of Daniels.
You do. They're very serious. Anybody in the business world, usually Daniels. You'll see a lot of Daniels in the business world. You'll see a lot of Dans.
My dad is
When
a
I show
Dan.
up, when you show up to a sports bar, I was gonna say you show up to a sports bar, a lot of Dans, a lot of Dans there, a lot of Daniels and the Dannies. We're little goofy little fellas. Hey, we're just trying to have fun. We're just kids.
what-
Well, Dive and Danny. There's Dive and Danny.
Diving Dannies all over the place.
What point in your life do you think you would change? Like, what would it take for you to change it to anything but Danny?
At this point, I really love Danny. I've grown to really love Danny. I think
You almost went by weak sauce. Like 08. Well, I advised against it.
and thank God you did, because it sounded good.
It looks good. The way he was going to spell it, it was cool.
The days he joined SAG, and they're like, that is a weird day. The day they're like, are you positive about your name? And you're like, think so. I feel pretty good about it.
You saying, man? Is this one of those things where you're like, change it?
Well, it really is like a wild moment when they're like, what is your name? You're like,
Danny Jones. What is your name?
Yeah,
That's
like,
really
all right.
impressive about it.
it was crazy.
Daniil Thibodeau.
Could be.
You want to end with an EAUX. Whatever it is, go with the EAUX.
Oh, that immediately lets people know you're a serious actor.
You're cool.
Danny Thibodeau, and I show up and I go, if you're in a production with me, let me tell you something. I'm gonna be doing some fucked up shit.
I'm Method.
I'm Method. If I'm supposed to hate you, guess what? I will literally try to kill you on set. I can't
gonna
differentiate. I can't differentiate. Don't get me started method acting. People-
I'm not grown up.
Have you ever worked with a method acting person? No. I've never worked with
I'm
one.
not in that world. I'm only working with goofs. Anybody who's like doing comedy.
We lost him?
We lost him, but we'll get him back.
It's okay.
Well, while we lose Luke,
You can
I guess
hear
it's the
me.
perfect opportunity to say, let's go to break. We'll be right back with our final stories. During this break in the action, if you have a story idea, send it to me. You can email it to me. You can message me on Instagram. You can message me on Twitter. You can message me on all the ways to send it to me. Send me ideas. I'll shout you out. I like it. I don't know everything. Send me ideas. All right, back to the show. And we're back. And we're going to forego quick hits today because we're moving so well. And I felt like we covered so much that I think it's time we wrap up a great episode with one of the biggest sports. Sometimes we have people, a lot of times we have people on here who know nothing about sports. It's nice when we have somebody on who knows a ton.
I know borderline too much about my teams.
I mean, you and me both. The amount of time I have to not on this show, just be like, let me tell you something else about what's going on with the Capitals. It's we gotta spread it out. We gotta spread it out. You know, we gotta talk about the Toledo, whatever they were called.
Yeah. The Glass Eaters or whatever.
Glass City.
Glass City.
They make glass there.
I don't know. I'm going up to Alaska this weekend, and I'm looking. I got time to burn when I'm up there, and I'm like, what should I do in Anchorage? And there is a Alaska Baseball League game of the Anchorage. I don't remember their name, but I'm like, oh, I'm going.
That's fun.
I'm going to the Anchorage.
Why not? You got time to kill during the day. You always got to find something to do.
Oh, I know.
Now, Luke, what would you like to plug? And keep in mind, this comes out after your dates in Alaska.
Okay, so do not come see me in Alaska unless you already saw me in Alaska, at which point you're welcome. I'm on the road a little bit, less so this summer, but definitely a lot this fall.
Oh, let's go.
So, I'm plugging the old, go to the gram. I'm posting it on the gram.
At Luke Null.
At Luke Null. I think there's an underscore, but I'll pop up.
Luke Null. You search Luke Null. I always forget to search it.
And also, I'm just plugging the Cincinnati Bengals. We're definitely going to be good.
There's
no way that we are set up to be hurt.
I think you're set up to potentially make the playoffs and barely make it, and potentially, but I don't think you're going to lose too much. But that's the fun of football, is you don't know, that's why we watch the game.
That's why we watch the games. And what's your record prediction for the Commanders this year?
4-13.
With wins over...
I have no clue. I don't know who we're winning over. I just know that it's going to be bad. No, anything you'd like to plug?
Just my Instagram. I post stand-up clips weekly at Noah Copper.
They're very fun. Recommend it.
Any underscore?
And check out and I'll do the plug for him. He has a special on YouTube that is quite enjoyable, and I recommend watching it.
Thank you.
For me, by the time this comes out,
you will be wed.
I will be through this fucking wedding.
You will be married.
I'll tell you what, we're recording this in the heat of the heat. We're in the heat of the heat.
It's true.
Between every break, they've gone to watch me pull out my phone and go, Jesus fucking Christ.
It's true. But after now that you're watching this right now, Danny's still a virgin. but when it comes out, Danny will
for the first
become
time,
a man.
I'm going to be a man. I can't wait. I will be wed, and then I will be full-time back to stand-up. I'm going to be doing a bunch of shows all around. Follow me on Instagram. I'll be really plugging specific dates after that. But for now, I will just... To know that when this comes out, I will be back to doing stand-up again is quite exciting. And never having to hear about another...
Flowers are worth it.
The flowers are so worth it. Do you know flowers cost $7 billion? And now we close the way we always close, Luke. A little game that we like to call 3 Shots of Glory.
Oh, no.
Now... And it's becoming more and more enjoyable the way every single person reacts to when they realize what's going to happen. Yeah. You have 3 shots from the couch to the basketball hoop. Only one person guessed this hit so far. Jessica Michelle Singleton.
Has made one of the 3?
Yes. Okay. It's not easy.
No, it looks difficult.
But that's the fun.
Sure.
And now for the listeners at home.
Oh, okay, I like the ball. So just sizing up the ball, it feels like you're going to have to throw it harder than you think.
That's a very good read on it.
Okay. And I'm looking at it.
He's looking at it. For those of you listening,
it's not an easy shot.
This is all.
It's up too high. Like from
Disagree.
where I'm from seated.
Yes.
All right, here we go. Shit.
Okay, a lot of things to like though.
Good arc.
All right, but my initial instinct of needing to throw it harder than I thought. Need to throw it even harder than I thought.
Harder than I thought, but that's excitement. So shot number 1, a little short. Shot number 2.
Oh, even harder than I thought. I'm online though.
You are. There's a lot to like that's happening here. He's getting ready for shot number 3. This is it. This is the final moment.
Oh, the rim.
You hate to see it.
Can you edit though as under? Oh,
that would have been sick.
That
But
would have been
unfortunately,
fucked up. If I went granny style and made it at the end, that would have been fucked up.
that's the end of the
And
episode.
it sucks because I would have gotten paid if I made it.
See you next week.
You're a number one fan, so you know the stats. Heard all the pundits talking, so you know enough of that. Maybe it's time to hear some crazy folks chat about all the other stuff that's behind the net. But maybe you don't care about playing ball, and you want to hear the gossip whether big or small. Maybe it's time to hear some funny folks talk about what goes on when the batter don't walk. Maybe you'd like to hear a little more. Maybe you don't even care about sports. Either way, go on and buckle up your shorts. Cause this is everything but the scores with Danny Jollis. Yeah, doggity.